Hello, this is Michael Tracy, and this video is going to look at what Chhiring Dorje saw when he reported seeing a body on Mount Everest in 1995. Despite the various spin put on this sighting by YouTube content creators seeking to remain relevant in a story that has passed them by, Chhiring's sighting was never a mystery. In a 2007 article in Steamboat Pilot and Today, a Colorado newspaper, Chhiring was interviewed and he stated he saw a body at 27,000 feet on May 1st, 1995, when carrying loads as part of the Japanese Nihon University Mountaineering Club's ascent of the full northeast ridge. As a note on that altitude, the Japanese in 1995 did not have a camp anywhere near 27,000 feet, and I take that altitude as possibly referring to the 1992 Japanese-Kazakhstan bivouac location that was at 27,000 feet. So the Nihon University Mountaineering Club has a website devoted to their 1995 climb, and it was a truly remarkable climb. I may cover the full climb in a future video, but for now, their detailed log of the expedition allows us to verify that Chhiring Dorje was indeed on that expedition, and on May 1st, they were climbing at approximately 27,000 feet, which, as the Japanese use the metric system, is 8,230 meters. The plan of the Japanese expedition was to climb the entire northeast ridge. This is their plan for the climb, and it is broken down into distinct sections. The first goal was to climb from Modern Advanced Base Camp up the northeast ridge, traverse the pinnacles, and reach the northeast shoulder. That would be Phase 1. From there, they would regroup and prepare for the summit push. For Phase 2, once they had climbed back up to the northeast shoulder, they would climb across the Long Lang Traverse and then join the modern route at the 1933 high camp location. The expedition log is detailed as to when each camp was established, and by May 1st, the highest camp, Camp 6, was placed just at the juncture with the northeast shoulder. From their description, Camp 6 was initially established on April 29th and then stalked by 3 teams of Sherpa, Chhiring Dorje being on one of those teams. It is not clear from that description if Camp 6 was initially placed here in this saddle between the northeast shoulder and the third pinnacle, and then moved to just below the shoulder when they started the actual summit push. For the analysis in this video, it does not make any difference. The base of the northeast shoulder is about 8,350 meters, so the body was sighted well below that point. Here is a photo of Camp 6 at the base of the northeast shoulder. Thus, on May 1st, we know that Chhiring Dorje's high point was Camp 6, and any body he saw was to the east of that location. First, a couple notes. There are a couple different spellings of Chhiring Dorje, and in the Himalayan database, it is spelled with the CH, but in the Japanese expedition report, his name is spelled with the TSH. Chhiring Dorje is not listed in the Himalayan database for this expedition, which likely meant he was supposed to be a low-altitude porter that got called up to carry some loads up high. He did not go on to summit with that expedition. His first summit of Everest is recorded in 1998, and as of today, he has more than a dozen expeditions to Everest. So at 5 a.m. in the morning on May 1st, Chhiring Dorje saw a body, but did not tell anyone. The only place he could have seen a body was to the east of the northeast shoulder, as that is the only place anyone on that expedition climbed that day. No one ever said he went off route, got lost, or was wandering out looking for a place to go to the bathroom. His account is succinct and precise as to the date and altitude at which he saw the body, May 1st at 27,000 feet, or 8,230 meters. From that, the body had to be located between Japanese Camp 5 at 7,850 meters and Japanese Camp 6 at 8,350 meters, with the area of the second pinnacle corresponding to roughly 8,200 meters. There are not a lot of bodies in that region, and it is easy to determine that the body was that of Peter Boardman. Peter Boardman and Joe Tasker had attempted the Northeast Ridge complete back in 1982, but unlike the Japanese, they were doing it without oxygen. Boardman and Tasker were last seen near the second pinnacle between 8,200 and 8,250 meters. The body of Peter Boardman was found in 1992, with the eyewitness report being, Omiya saw Boardman's corpse. He gives the following description. I did not examine closely the body found on the route at 8,200 meters on the Rongbuk side of the ridge. I saw a cheek, cap, and shoulder on the snow. The cheek was mummy-like. The The shoulder was covered with what looked like leather and not a down jacket. The color was light brown. Of course, it could have been faded from many years' exposure. Neither of us Japanese went close to the body or tried to dig it out. Only Kazakh Vladimir Sugvia took photos. Now, for some reason, I'd always thought the body was on the Kangshung side, but the report clearly has it on the Rongbuk side. In any case, a photo of the body does exist, and you can do a search for it on the internet. I don't show it here because it is not clear what the snow conditions were when Chhiring Dorje was climbing in that region in 1995, and it wouldn't add anything to the analysis. But if his Boardman's feet were covered, the lower body, it would be very easy to mistake him for an older corpse. And simply the lighting conditions at 5 a.m. could easily cause somebody to believe it was a much older body. The 1992 eyewitness report is that he had light brown clothing that looked like leather and not like a down jacket, and there is no reason to believe that Chhiring Dorje would have come to a different impression in 1995, given that we know that Chhiring Dorje was on the exact same route, traversing from the second pinnacle on May 1st, and Peter Boardman's body was reportedly found at approximately 8,200 meters in that area of the second pinnacle. The reasonable conclusion is that Chhiring Dorje saw Peter Boardman's body. Over the years, numerous versions of Chhiring's story have come out with different locations and altitudes reported. However, given the date of May 1st, we know exactly which area Chhiring was in. There are no records of Chhiring climbing higher than Camp 6, and even if he had, there would have been other climbers right next to him. The weather was clear, and the only body reported by anyone on that expedition was that of Peter Boardman. The summit party of 6 people reached the summit at approximately 7 a.m. on May 11th, where they reported spending 1 hour on the summit taking photos and collecting rocks. They then descended by the same route to reach ABC at 6 p.m., reporting no clouds and no wind. Thus, if there was a second body, 6 people had to miss it both on the way up and the way back down. Given the May 1st date, there is no possibility the body was Irvin's. No one on that expedition ever climbed alone, and the route leading up to Camp 6 is far too dangerous for anyone to leave the fixed ropes. The only logical explanation is that Chhiring Dorje saw the same body that other members of the expedition had seen, and that was Peter Boardman's body. Because of the nature of the decay, it appeared to be an older body that was not wearing a modern jacket, exactly the way the Japanese reported seeing the body in 1992. So that is the great mystery. Chhiring Dorje did indeed see a body that appeared to have old clothing back in 1995. The altitude, location, and description of the clothing all match exactly with the body of Peter Boardman.